Tuesday. So that means it would have been CJ's first game. So now we're going to Leo's story. And CJ, thank you for telling the story 3 nights in a row when Daddy had a sore throat. You did a great job. Okay, Leo, what is your story?
My story...
Shh. A little quieter though, son.
Okay.
You have kind of this habit of shouting to me, and I'm literally 1 foot from you.
So, what's my story gonna be? What's my story gonna be? I don't know. Anyone have any ideas?
Well, who are your favorite characters of late? What's the Ragdoll Simulator fun time thing?
Like the places it has is, the void, and you could spectate characters go to the help by doing those 2 dots and typing help after the 2 dots.
Okay.
I'll show you the thing.
I'll make up a story based on Ragdoll
and there's
Simulator.
even a shark pit.
Okay, are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Once upon a time, Elvie and the Siege woke up. Oh, what are you doing, Siege?
Nothing.
You need to blow your nose? Oh, okay. Just goofing. Once upon a time, Elvie and the Siege woke up and they had a nice breakfast. And Elvie said, I could really use some mushroom soup. And the Siege said, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go out into the forest and pick mushrooms. So they went out into the forest, and usually there were some mushrooms that grew nearby, but they couldn't find any. And Elvie said, maybe they just moved or something. And the Siege said, yeah, those mushrooms, they just moved. And so they went further into the forest to look for more mushrooms, and they found a couple of them, but they picked them, and they couldn't find any more. And Elvie said, what grows mushrooms? The Siege said, I don't know, but we need some more mushrooms if we're going to get mushroom soup. And they went so far into the dark forest that it seemed like it was night, but they knew it was day. And they found some more mushrooms, but then they started looking around, and they noticed that the trees were shaped a little bit differently. Uh-oh, said the Siege. What, said Elvie? And the Siege said, we're in the Mannequin Forest. The what? Said Elvie. Shh, said the Siege. The Mannequin Forest. And Elvie said, what's the Mannequin Forest? And the Siege said, look at the trees. And Elvie looked, and he said, they look kind of weird. And the Siege said, they're mannequins. And Elvie looked, and the trees were shaped like mannequins, but they had bark on them, and they were all standing very straight, but they were asleep with their heads hanging low. But out of the top parts of them, were growing lots of branches and leaves and things. They were half ant, half mannequin, the Mannequin Forest. And the Siege said, don't make a sound, especially don't step on a... Oops, said Elvie. What did you do? Said the Siege. And one of the mannequins woke up. He said, and Elvie said, I think I stepped on a twig. And the Siege said, that's like breaking their bones. They totally heard that. And one mannequin pulled out 1 foot out of the ground. And he pulled out another foot out of the ground because their feet were buried in the ground as roots. He said, who goes there? And he started walking towards Elvie and the Siege. And the mannequins were a little bit taller than Elvie and the Siege, but the tree trunks and branches that were growing out of the top of them were even taller. And so he was really tall, but you could just look at him right in the face because his face was right there, kind of. And the Siege said, sorry, it's Elvie and the Siege. And the mannequin said, who is Elvie and the Siege? And Elvie said, well, I'm Elvie, and guess who the Siege is? And the Siege said, ta-da! And the mannequin said, don't play with me. And then all of a sudden, some of the other mannequins started waking up. What's going on? I was having a good sleep. and they started walking towards the group, and pretty soon there was about 12 mannequin trees that were circled around Elvie and the Siege. And the Siege said, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And Elvie said, "I don't know. Mr. Trees?" And they said, "Ha ha ha. Where's the trees? There's no trees around here. We are Ents, mannequin Ents." And the Siege said, "Yes, that is what we meant." And another one said, "We are the caretakers of the trees, but we are much more than trees ourselves." And Elvie said, of course. What we meant was Mr. Tree Taker Care of guy." And they all said, that works. And another one said, "Yes, we are the Tree Taker Care of guys." And the Siege said, "Yeah, that's what we were trying to say, but we didn't want to interrupt you when you interrupted us." That sounds a little accusatory. But they did say we are Tree Taker Carer guys. Yes. Well, what are you doing in our mannequin forest? And Elvie said, "Well, we were looking for," and the Siege elbowed him. Ugh. And the Siege said, "We were looking for the way out." And Elvie said, yeah, the way out. And then the Siege said, "And we heard a twig snap." And all the mannequin Ents said, "What? Who's stepping on twigs?" And Elvie said, calm down. We know where it came from. It came from over there." And Elvie pointed like way far away, like, "See that mountain?" And they were all like, yeah, the twig sound came from that mountain." No, said Elvie. "Over that mountain. Do you see the next mountain?" "Oh, yes, we see that." And the Siege said, "Yeah, it's over that mountain where we heard the twig snap." They said, "Let's go get those people who are snapping twigs without even a second thought." And they were so angry, and they started marching off. And Elvie said, we got rid of them. And they kept on going. And the Elvie said, "Okay, now let's try to find some mushrooms." And they looked around, and they couldn't find any. And the Siege said, "Well, maybe we don't have mushroom soup today." And just then, over the hill came the mannequin trees back. "Wait a minute, we want to talk to you." And one of them said, "How could you hear a twig 3 mountain ranges away?" And the Siege said, "We've got really good hearing." And the other one said, "Hogwash, you're humans, or Minecraft humans. You don't have that good of hearing. You are the ones that stepped on the twig." And Elvie said, "Oh no, they know." And the Siege said, "Well, now they know, now that you said that. Oh, get them!" And all those mannequin trees started running after him. And Elvie and the Siege were like running as fast as they could. But the mannequin trees were much faster, and they were closing in on Elvie and the Siege. And the Siege said, "What do we do?" And Elvie said, "Do you have a command block?" And the Siege said, "Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything?" And Elvie said, "Just, do you have 4 buttons?" And the Siege said, "Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?" And Elvie said, "Just give them to me." And he threw them to him, and the trees were coming, and Elvie slammed down the command block and got into it and went, and then he put down 4 buttons, ding dong, and he said, "Start jumping on the buttons." And the Siege was like, "Okay, goose. And he started jumping on the buttons, and all of a sudden, one of the mannequin trees turned into a rag doll and fell and flopped all over the place. And another one said, "What did you do?" And Elvie said, "Back off, or we're going to turn you all into rag dolls." And the Siege said, "Yeah, and throw you into some shark tanks and stuff." And Elvie said, "Yeah, if there was any shark tanks around here." And one of the Ents said, You'll pay for what you've done, snapping on twigs and turning my friend into a rag doll. Roar! And he charged them, and the siege jumped on another button, chugga chugga chugga, and he turned into a rag doll. And as he turned into one, he fell down into the dirt, and his mouth opened up, and he went and slid down the dirt and filled up his mouth with dirt. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a rag doll now." And the rest of them, there was about 10, and they said, "Charge!" And they started charging Elvie and the siege. And the siege was like, "Help me, Elvie." And Elvie's like, "You're the guy that pushes on the buttons. I'm the guy that programs the thing. Now do it." And the siege was like, "Push, push, 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 push." And one by one, the ants turned into rag dolls and flopped, fell down onto rocks, and fell over cliffs and flopped around in the water. And then they were all turned into into rag dolls. And the siege said, "Phew, it's over." And Elvie said, "Yeah, but we've only got 5 minutes before they turn back." The siege said, "What? Did you program 5 minutes?" And Elvie said, "Well, yeah, they're not going to turn them into rag dolls permanently." And Elvie and the siege packed up their stuff and ran away and went all the way home.
What about the sharks?
There was no shark tanks.
No, there's a shark pit.
And they threw all the guys into a shark pit, and the sharks were like, "Thanks. Nom, 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 nom. Crunch, 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 crunch. The end.
Yeah, and the ants respawned.
Okay, and then they respawned. Okay. Now, Elvie, or there's no Elvie here. Leo, what is the name of the story?
Okay. Makeup system test.
Okay.